We are super close to launch, and the Hogwarts Legacy team are relentless at the moment in dropping new info and features coming to the game. But what about the stuff that they've ruled out and won't be in the game for us to tuck into? Well, there's actually some good news and some disappointing mechanics and features that won't be available on launch. So I'm going to take you through 10 of them, and let's start with a question I see so much of in the comment sections of the Hogwarts Legacy videos I make, and perhaps more so than any other question, and that's, will there be multiplayer or co-op in this game? And the straight up answer is no, unfortunately, at this stage. This game is a single-player, open-world, action role-playing game where we are the witch or wizard who is attending Hogwarts in the late 1800s, so it will just be you flying across the Scottish Highlands on your platform of choice. Now, I think this game is perfect for a co-op integration, and it isn't entirely unusual that single-player games do add these community-based features later on during release. Ghost of Tsushima is a perfect example of this, where they released their Legends co-op mode several months after release, and it was very well received. So post-launch content is another topic that we're going to go over shortly, because if it is indeed a single-player game, will you need an internet connection to play it? Well, you kind of will, because those of you who have pre-ordered the physical disc deluxe edition of the game will have to install an update patch on day one. Whereas those of you who have purchased the digital edition, you'll get this patch automatically integrated when you do click download. And speaking of different editions of the games and their exclusive rewards, that is a perfect segue onto microtransactions, which is another hot question in the community about this game. And there's good news here, because there will be absolutely no MTX or store microtransactions in this game at all. Chandler Wood, the community manager, has emphatically repeated this statement on Twitter for the last several months. And if you're not 100% sure on what this is, it's a mechanic in games that adds features like XP boosts or special cosmetic items with unique abilities in the game, which you pay for separately in a store that is then attached to the main menu, which has become very common practice in single player games of recent years. Assassin's Creed Valhalla being a recent example, which actually went on to gross $1 billion in 2 years, largely due to this MTX mechanic. So it's a big deal for Avalanche Studios and by extension Warner Bros. Not to include this type of pay-to-win bandit vendoring in the game, because they'll be missing out on a lot of potential revenues. So for that reason, this is a good thing that it's not in the game, and what you see in the game is what everyone else gets. Well, kind of to a point anyway, because even though there's no MTX in this game, that doesn't mean there isn't additional extras some of you will not have access to because you haven't purchased a specific edition or own a certain type of console. Because even though it's not been officially announced, PlayStation does seem to have an agreement behind closed doors with Hogwarts Legacy and by extension Warner Bros., which is why they're releasing exclusive content specifically on the PlayStation game editions only. In fact, if you don't plan to play Hogwarts Legacy on your PS5, you won't have access to the free Haunted Hogsmeade shop quest, with Avalanche Software stating that strange things await players below the Hogsmeade shop, and overcoming these challenges will reward you with a shop of your own where you can sell items and gear at better rates than anywhere else. So essentially, you'll gain more gold or galleons when you sell unwanted stuff at your shop vendor compared to others in-game if you own a PS5. But not only that, hidden away in the fine print on a PlayStation blog post, you'll also pick up a shopkeeper's cosmetic outfit, which hasn't been advertised too much, so just know that you're going to get this as well if you do order on PlayStation. But on top of that, you also won't get this Felix Felicis potion if you don't own a PlayStation, otherwise known as Liquid Luck in the Wizarding world, where you'll be able to brew and consume this potion in your room of requirement, and after you do neck it down, it'll display all gear chests on your minimap for 24 hours, which is pretty OP sounding to me anyway. But here's the catch though, you will be able to get all of these items if you're not on PlayStation, but only 1 calendar year from now, as noted by Portkey Games support page. So yeah, not ideal if you want this stuff sooner rather than later, but if you're not too bothered and you're on Xbox or some other platform, you can pick it up next February 2024. But that said, what about DLCs or other expansions that will perhaps come out after Hogwarts Legacy launches? Well, right now, the straight up answer is nothing. There isn't anything announced or planned, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's not being discussed or serious conversations haven't been had already behind closed doors. And to shed some light on this topic a little bit more, Troy Levitt, an ex-developer who worked extensively on the game, had a fantastic interview with Alex on podcast, now linked down below by the way, definitely check it out. But he said that if there was to be any chance at a franchise or an extension of the Hogwarts Legacy game within the Portkey Games label, the actual game itself needs to perform well and be successful before the team are willing to sign off on extra content, expansion expansions or a second iteration of this game. But I'll be honest with you, if Warner Bros. Review this game as successful from a kind of monetary standpoint, I think they're going to be very pleased, as it's already number one on Steam's top-selling game at the moment, and that's just on PC and not even on the consoles. So in my honest opinion, I do think we'll get extra content, but when will that happen? Well, it could be by the end of the year if they've already started, or several years from now if it's a new game entirely and not just an expansion. And if you're enjoying the video so far or learn anything new, please do leave a very swift like down below. Really helps me out on YouTube, so thank you very much. And I'm also running a Hogwarts Legacy game giveaway. You just need to be a subscriber of the channel to enter, and the link is down below in the comments. So very best of luck to you. Now, another thing that won't be in the game is Quidditch, the iconic and famous wizarding sport played on broomsticks, which is a shame to hear, to be honest, as I absolutely loved the old school Quidditch World Cup game back on the PS2. But Alan too, the game director, did say there were calls that we had to make over the course of production on things that we will and won't include in these buckets, and that's why every single time we regretted that we couldn't include it. We also tried to make sure we could sneak it into the narrative and included it in the stories, making sure there is a way to acknowledge it. And that's why they have included Broomflight in the game, but not Quidditch, as they wanted to recognize it and make it feel part of this immersive wizarding world. And in fact, there is a flight mechanic attached to this broom with what Alan calls a turbo meter at the bottom, where the closer you fly to the ground, the quicker you're going to go, and the higher you travel in the sky, the slower you're going to go. So Broomflight is there, but you won't be diving for snitches or smashing a bludger into another player's face for now anyway. And the same thing can be applied here to some mini games I know a lot of you were hoping for, that being Wizard's Chess, which we can see as an immersive animation on the Slytherin common room table, and Gobstones, which is a similar game to marbles, where the closer you throw your gobstone to the hole or target, the more points you win, and if you lost that point to another player, you get sprayed in the face with some horrendous liquid. And again, I know that the team have been working hard to focus on larger and more important things to polish this game before release, but a couple mini games like this would have been fun to partake in my opinion, especially due to the popularity of Witcher 3's Gwent game and Assassin's Creed Valhalla's Orlog, which both went on to spark incredible interest in those mini games outside of the main game itself. And I would have thought a well animated and put together Wizard's Chess game at the very least would have been a great inclusion. But as Alan says, even though it won't be playable, it will be there visually in the game as an acknowledgement that it exists to contribute to that immersion. And the very same dev thinking and explanation applies to the House Cup point system, which begins at the start of every school year, where each student earned points for his or her house, and at the end of that very same year, the house with the most points would be awarded the House Cup. Now, Alan did go on to address this specifically and fairly briefly in the gameplay showcase before Christmas, stating that it would be definitely present throughout the main story narrative of the game, so it's there, but it's kind of also not there, because the deduction and earnings of house points in action won't be something available to view in the menus, or something that we're able to do loads of during side quests or activities in the castle to kind of grind out those house points for our own house, so we then win the cup at the end of the year. That's just not going to be something that we're going to be able to do in this game. But that said, you can view the house point hourglasses outside the Great Hall, which I do think visually look really awesome, and one of the achievements released online accidentally by Epic Games addresses this mechanic directly, and I don't want to spoil it for you in this video, so if you are interested to know what that's all about, I'll link that breakdown video at the end of this one for you. Now, another big question I've seen asked a lot, and for good reason, is will we have a direct choice over the outcome of the game's ending, depending upon which dialogue choices we pick when interacting with students around Hogwarts, as well as the main characters in the story? Well, Alan again went on to say further that dialogue will offer us a variety of different choices with how we wish to respond, with some of those answers having a bit of a butterfly effect, where those responses can genuinely affect the story and the ending of the game. But this mechanic is not to be confused with a morality system that has been specifically noted by the Hogwarts Legacy team on their recent FAQ page, and the community manager Chandler Wood also going on to say on Twitter that there is not a formally tracked morality system in this game like some of the other RPG games out there. And if you're not entirely sure what the difference is here, a morality system is almost like a simulation world where each action is inherently judged by that simulated world to be either good or evil, kind of like Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, where you could choose the dark or light side options in your dialogue interactions with NPCs. Now, this isn't going to be a feature in Hogwarts Legacy. Instead, you can choose how you want to respond on a personal level within these dialogue options, and as the FAQ states, that will then influence the witch or wizard you choose to become, but the whole castle isn't going to try and oust you from the grounds if you start throwing around a few killing curses outside. aside. But as this game is based within the Harry Potter universe, will we be seeing any famous characters that you may be familiar with, like HP himself or perhaps even Dumbledore? Well, I'll come back to Dumbledore in just a second, but no, Harry Potter, Hermione Granger, Ron Weasley, or anyone else you know from the series will not be in this game, as it takes place in the late 18th century, with the books taking place around 100 years later in the 90s. But that said, this game is still rooted in the magical universe of the Wizarding World, which is why the Deputy Headmistress has recently been announced as Matilda Weasley, who is Ron Weasley's great-great-grandmother, or we presume so anyway, due to her red hair and surname. And the same thing can be said about Dumbledore. He's one of the few people from the HP series who is actually alive during Hogwarts Legacy, as he was born in 1881, making him around 9 or so years old at the time of this game, thanks to the Daily Prophet paper we saw in the State of Play trailer dated as 1890. And with students usually attending Hogwarts at the ages of 11 and 12, he wouldn't be at Hogwarts just yet, but that does leave the door open wide for him appearing in the future, or perhaps towards the end of the game, who knows. It is the same universe after all, but it is a different game with different witches and wizards, just so you know that. And the same thing could also be said about some of the iconic locations and items in the game, such as the Whomping Willow, which was planted in the grounds to hide an opening of a secret passage that then led down to the Shrieking Shack, which is located in the village of Hogsmeade, which we already know we'll be visiting a lot in game. Well, unfortunately, that won't be in this game, as the willow was planted in 1971, which is a shame, as I think it would have been an excellent encounter to have. And the same thing can be said for Nocturne Alley, which was a shopping area just off Diagon Alley, which also hasn't yet been confirmed to be in the game by Avalanche, even though we have seen clips of Gringotts Bank, which is incidentally located in Diagon Alley, as well as a potential sneak peek of it in the recent cinematic trailer. That said, I do find it unusual that it hasn't been shown or discussed yet, but perhaps that is for good reason, as they don't want to give away everything in the game, which I can definitely get on board with. I think it's good to have some surprises, but as Hogsmeade is the main shopping centre we'll be venturing to in-game for all of our resource needs and questing, I'll be placing the Dark Arts Nocturne Alley in the tentative not included category, along with Diagon Alley, but I would absolutely love to be wrong there. Now, Alan 2, the game director, has stated that by completing optional quests and getting to know the professors in-game will be beneficial for us, as it could go on to change the ending of the game itself, which is massive. So click the video on your screen right now to find out what that's all about. And my big thanks go out to all of you who are in the Reloads Club and support me on YouTube via a membership, and also Nika, Dennis and Iron Knight for helping me make this video. Butterbeer is on them, and I will see you in that next video.